Hey guys, this is Financial Fitness, and this is my good buddy, the Economic Ninja. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met, and I really value his opinion. So check it out.
Awesome. Thank you.
Man, there's so much going on, and I've got such a valued guest. I think I'd like to talk about silver and the silver squeeze and market manipulation and paper market, and I'd like to start there, I think.
All right. So you don't want me to just go for it?
Well, so I would like to talk first about what happened in the 80s with the Hunt brothers and how likely that is to happen again.
Okay.
And at what do you think that might happen? You know, in silver, $2 and $3 and $1,000 an ounce, possibly. You know, we don't know. After 2020 it's anything goes. You know?
Well, you know, the Hunt. Yeah, sorry, I'll just jump in. So what we're seeing now is absolutely nothing like the Hunt brothers, and it actually has the potential of being bigger. And the reason why is because when the Hunt brothers were trying to corner the market in silver, they did it with, it was essentially three guys, and they got caught up in the paper game. At first, they started buying up silver, but somewhere someone talked them into the idea of, you know, if you use leverage, you can try and leverage the paper markets. And what they didn't realize back then is what we all know now, and that is that whoever runs the paper markets, you know, the futures markets on any commodity, they have the ability of just completely destroying you. You know, they could fake all the different, you know, paper, essentially derivatives contracts on anything, any kind of commodity. But in this instance, it was silver. And what happened is they ended up using leverage, and that quickly destroyed them. It actually caused silver to squeeze up higher. However, at the end, all they had to do, the powers that be, was just dump the market with worthless paper shares of silver, and it made it look like it was completely worthless. Now, today, what we're seeing with Wall Street silver and that movement is way bigger. You see, the Hunt brothers, and actually, I want to step back. I just interviewed Rick Rule. Rick Rule is one of the largest buyers of precious metals, primarily silver, on earth. Okay, so to say he has some clout is an understatement. And he said that what is happening now, at first he thought that Wall Street silver, all these people banding together, which by the way is now 125,000 people on Reddit, you know, we're going to get clobbered just the same way as the Hunt brothers did. But right now his mouth's dropped because he's literally watching the physical metal being taken off of the markets so fast, and he's watching not only you know, sellers online sellers of metals, primarily silver, but also mints scrambling for the metal right now. And his mouth's just totally dropped. He said, I was completely wrong. He actually admitted it on an interview we did. And he says, you know, the Hunt brothers are three guys with leverage. Wall Street silver is 1 million kids with cash, and they're doing it right now. And it's absolutely remarkable to see.
I have been following Rick Rule since I started my journey in investing, and he's got such an eloquent way to say things. I love listening to him and you in the interviews. I've been involved with him and Sprott, which I don't think I think he stepped down.
Yep.
Some Sprott. But that's the silver thing is, I wonder if we're going to be, they call us hoarders. You know, if you collect cash, you're a saver. Yeah. But if you collect real money, you're a hoarder. I wonder if that day's coming, they're going to say all these evil hoarders are, you know, they flip the script.
No, it's not going to happen. And the reason why is everyone gets made fun of. You know, I'm a contrarian investor. I invest in things that nobody cares about, everyone laughs at. I went through this with Bitcoin. I also went through it actually with real estate. In 2001, I was getting laughed at when I was buying up rentals and flip homes, because everyone laughed at me and said, look, the real estate market's been in like some 9-year bull run. You're nuts. There's not a lot of money to be made here. But I saw something different. You know, I saw interest rates were going to get slammed down because of the dot-com crash. And so I saw greed in America. So I'm like, I'm going to buy up homes and flip them for higher rates or higher amounts when the interest rate drops. Well, I went through the same thing with Bitcoin. You know, people, you know, would laugh at you and things like that and say that you're, you know, throwing your money away. And it's very similar to hoarding, because, you know, when people were buying Bitcoin in 2016, 2017, for sure, it seemed like hoarding because people were putting everything they had into it. Well, all those people that mocked aren't around, or they now own Bitcoin. And I don't believe that you're going to get mocked for this. I've seen it in the silver markets before, where CNBC will come out and mock people. That one time, I believe it was Aaron Burnett said, silver investors are akin to old men living in a basement playing with model trains. And I said, well, got two of those on me. I'm right there. So, but my point being is that they don't laugh when the price goes up. All of a sudden, you're heralded as a genius, quite frankly. And honestly, I believe that time is coming soon. I don't know exactly when, but I would be shocked if you didn't see a much higher silver price in the next 12 months.
Well, I guess what I meant was, the powers that be can flip the script and say, just like they did in 1933 or 34, when gold wasn't, you were asked to bring it in. It was nationalized pretty much. It's nationalized. Yeah. And when there's a demand for it to go in automotives, cell phones, solar panels, that's the best conductor of electricity. And that's where we're going. We're going that way no matter what.
Yep.
So I wonder, when silver price goes to the moon, what's going to keep them from doing that? Hey, you can sell it, can't buy it.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't answer that properly. So the good news is that everybody always sells. Only a fool doesn't part with his money, when it comes to, higher prices, because there's always something that you want in life, right? Why would you save all this money and then die with, a truckload of precious metal in your truck, right? I mean, that's just completely idiotic, in my opinion. If you haven't been able to enjoy life, go travel, have a nice home, your family is taken care of, well, that all takes dollars. It doesn't, people are so confused when it comes to the barter system, and they're also scared of confiscation. Well, here's the great news about confiscation. When it comes to silver, a couple of things that governments and corporations can do is go straight to the mines and set up contracts to buy it at spot price. That's easy. That's low-hanging fruit for them. Secondly, the reason why I don't think they're going to confiscate it is because when silver moons, people are going to be selling it for much higher prices. And, there could be some bad press out there where people go, oh, the reason why silver is so much and your cell phone is so much, or your cancer treatment is so much is because of the silver hoarders. But in all reality, I don't think we'd even get there, because most people would see it for what it is. Very few people in this country have physical silver in their possession. So I don't think, we're seeing mainstream media lie right now a lot. And a lot of people are waking up to it. And I don't think we're gonna have that issue with silver.
That's why you've got so many followers. People desire the truth. There needs to be truth tellers.
Yeah, it is interesting when it comes to the people following on YouTube, because, I'm learning a lot about manipulation even on YouTube when it comes to fake subscribers, fake view counts, all that kind of stuff. And, we've been growing so organically, and it's been because people are seeking answers. And I think people are seeking answers when it comes to real estate, precious metals, cryptocurrencies, and honestly, the current state of the entire economy, not only ours, but worldwide. They're doing that more now than they've ever done. The COVID thing was, quite frankly, a huge blessing in that aspect. People are waking up and seeing what the truth is.
I've got some really cool interviews coming up. They just built a Dollar General down the store. I'm out in the country, and they built one probably 3 or 4 miles from here, which I think is genius.
Yeah.
And I've been going in it, and I'm noticing it's half stock.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'll ask the manager if they'd be willing to talk to him. She said, oh yeah, I'll tell you. So I'm going today at 4:45, and I'm going to interview her. And I've also got to interview the biggest grocery store in Bossier City with that man.
Nice.
And his wealth of knowledge. So I'm going to try to keep people posted with what's going on in Bossier City, Louisiana, local, from the horse's mouth, not some talking head on CNN.
That's super important. And it's funny. Obviously, the Economic Ninja channel wasn't around when the CEO of Dollar Tree decided to name their company. But if they honestly, for years, I watched that company grow, and I said, if they only knew that they really screwed themselves when they named the company Dollar Tree, because they handcuffed themselves to their prices, and that's tough. And we're seeing other companies coming out now. I think, what is it, below 5 degrees or something like that, where everything's under 5. There's other companies right now that have figured out, we can't stock the shelves at $1. We can't make money. We can't even get the products. It's one thing to say you have a supply chain shortage, but now you have inflation really bearing its ugly head, where, companies are trying to compete to keep their prices low, and they do it with packaging gets smaller, with ingredients change, things like that. I mean, we even see the type of plastics that were used 10 years ago at, items that were on the store shelf now a different type of plastic or different type of technology because they can't make the same product out of that type of plastic anymore. So it's looser, flimsier. It smells like when you walk into Harbor Freight, it's that off-gassing. It's a lower quality. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you're going to see businesses like that have to change their name or close. And that's sad, but it's the stark reality of inflation and the destruction of your purchasing power.
Shrinkflation is so, man, it's getting bad. Shrinkflation, inflation, stagflation. It's just, and 90% of the people through history that use the currency every day, they don't see it. They get caught. And I talk about When Money Dies, the book, When Money Dies, all the time. It's the same. There's nothing new under the sun. It sounds just like Jerome Powell. They're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
It's okay. We can do this as long as we want. It's just, they're just ripping off savers, man. They're inflation is a tax.
Yep.
It's taxation without representation.
Yeah, I completely agree. So,
and it's kind of do what we can to help.
Yeah, and it's great that you're doing these interviews because I think, talking to the manager of the Dollar Tree or any dollar store, grocery stores, it's super important to get their take on it because most people think that these headlines are mere clickbait, and some of them are. But the sad thing is, like what I report on my channel is I try and get you the information before it happens. It sounds funny, but a lot of people, there's people out there that just mock everything you do when they don't see it themselves, and then they just quietly disappear into the night when all of a sudden it comes to pass, like Bitcoin, skyrocketing or silver moving up. That's what's interesting to me is the sentiment, how it just completely changes, because I think it's just a bunch of cowards that want to complain and then they get super quiet because they can't stand that you're right.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can lead them to the water, but you can't make them drink.
Yep.
It's going to be sad for them. I hate it. It's going to be sad for the pension holders that depend on their pension, and there's going to be, the middle class is going to get hammered by this thing. Are you, in your opinion, is silver probably the best hedge against inflation at this moment?
No, I think being equally weighted in, if you want to diversify outside of stocks and real estate, I think you want to go equally weighted into Bitcoin and silver, because you just, quite frankly, don't know which one's going to take off next. And I think it's important when one, if you have two piles of money, let's say some silver and you have some Bitcoin, and one of them triples in price, well, why don't you take some of those gains and then dump it into silver or whatever one doesn't go up? Then when that one takes off, you take those gains, and what happens is those piles just move together. To me, that's been the safest way that I've been able to handle my assets lately.
But if one goes up maybe 30%, maybe take half that, put it in another one, or?
Yeah, that's what I did. For a while there, I had a written plan that if something went up 100%, if something doubled, I took half of the doubling amount and I dumped it into the next asset. And then my rule was no matter which one goes up, if one of them goes up double, I take half of that, I cash it in, and I buy the other one. And that's how I was able to grow my wealth. And I thought that was a pretty safe way of doing it. But again, I'm not a financial advisor, so don't take that.
I love that. That's awesome. That's really sounded, because you don't know, I mean, looking back so clear, we should have sold our crypto a few months ago and sold gold, silver, but that's a good idea. That's kind of what I'm practicing as well. 30, 50% for the next pile. I would like to visit the wealth effect and what you think about that when everybody's stock's going up. So let's say everybody that holds Amazon stock goes through the roof and everybody's a millionaire. Everybody feels wealthy.
Yep. Yeah. So I actually just experienced it a couple months ago. My entire portfolio in cryptos were twice as much as they are now. And so, I'm driving around feeling pretty, high on the hog. The problem is I'm liquid if I wanted to sell it, but did I sell it? No. And then we saw a literally 50% retracement in the price of the large cryptos. And in some cases, we saw even worse of a smackdown, like 75%. So now I'm back to square one, and I go, and I'm still above, obviously, what I started with. I've been involved in crypto for a long time, but it's that feeling, that psychological feeling that, what, I can buy that new car, no problem. I'm worth that. My cryptos are huge right now, or anything. My stocks, my 401ks are huge. You know what? Let's go build that pool. until it's not. And that's the problem. And that's what we're about to see when, yeah, man, I'm about to retire. My pension's going to be strong until it's not, because that pension's tied to real estate, REITs, stocks, all these paper assets that literally in the last 30 years have seen two collapses of 50% of their value. And there's a lot of people that are depending on that retirement now, like not in a little bit of time, you know, or not 10 years from now. And that wealth effect is going to be very deceiving to a lot of people. And it's going to cause people to make some, and they're already doing it, making very piss poor decisions.
Everything hinges on the stock market. It's, you know, all these pensions are broke. So they got to make like 7.5%. It's probably more now.
Yep, I completely agree.